Hello, Facebook family, it's Facebook Live. I'm Patty Jackson. This is the show within the show, and I want you to meet Dr. George James. He's a psychologist, he's an author, he's written great articles for Ebony Magazine, and he's out with a new book. This book is like one of those must reads. It is inspiring stories for young men about character, accountability, love, and leadership. And this time that we're living in our society, Dr. James, it is so needed because our men need this. Our young men need this kind of guidance.
Yeah, I was really fortunate to be a part of this project, and the truth is that a lot of our families feel some anxiety, some nervousness about what do we do with our young men, especially our black young men, because we're afraid or we're scared that something could happen to them. And this book tries to address that in so many different ways of how to care for your son, how to care for your young men in your life, or if you are that young man, what to do and what to think about. I share some personal stories of my own life, and the other co-authors share their stories. I think it's a great book. The name, once again, is The Call, and I say that you should get it. If you want to get it directly, you can join me. Go to my website, georgetalks.com, and click on the link for The Call.
It can be really difficult in the times that we're living in now. Everything is social media, the gadgets. A lot of people don't really communicate anymore. Kids are like buried in their phones. They're playing this Pokemon Go. But when you have a young man, because this is my thing, I have a 15-year-old, and getting him to he thinks that I nag all the time. Because getting the trash out, but he did it last night, so I got to give him props. But I'm trying to not be so, because I'm afraid. If you go out, why I got to have the talk with him, and how you should respond, because I don't want anything to happen to you. He went out with his friends on Saturday night, and I said, so, what time are you coming home? He said, I don't know. I said, you'll be home by 11 o'clock because you're 15 years old. I was like, I'm trying to give you a break here. And he's going to be like, I don't know. And I said, no, you'll be home by 11. But I don't want to be as strident. But as a parent, you think about what's going on out here and what's happening in our society. And so often, with a lot of young people, they feel that there's no hope. Just being that role model, or when they know everything. Don't your kids know everything in the world? It's like in dealing with that, so you don't want to be nagging, hollering all the time. But there are many inspiring stories in this book.
Yeah, to your point, I see it all the time with my clients. They come in, and on some level, they might have a son where they're dealing with all these things, this nervousness, this scare of like, well, how much do I let them be themselves? But if I let them be themselves, will they get hurt?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I have a young son. My son is 3, and even though he's not at the place where he needs to take out the trash yet, hopefully soon, right? But I do have those concerns and those worry, and I think that what's in the book is that not just my story, not just my chapter, but all the chapters have stories that will help you to think about what you should do with your son, how to connect with your son, or even just the walks of life that these men have experienced, including my own, that can say, okay, that makes me think about it in a different way.
Yes. It's an important read when you think of grandparents, grandmothers who are raising their kids, single moms, parents, who've got a full family, but it can be a struggle when you get to a certain point. Everyone warns you when you have little kids, oh, wait till they become teenagers, and then it comes, and you're like, We want our young men to grow up to be responsible men, and it's so important. We've got Roxanne checking in. Roxanne says, where do you buy it? Well, we're going to tell you. Go ahead.
Tell them again.
So you can get this book on my website, georgetalks.com, and you click on the link that says The Call, and you can buy it right now. georgetalks.com.
georgetalks.com. It's a book. It's a must. It's inspiring stories, because you think about it, you're coming into your own. It can be a difficult time. Peer pressure is a problem. Raising a child to have their own mind so that they don't go with what someone else says. I mean, think about it. You have grown men who don't have their own mind. Wait, I got to bring up the story. The Temple police that killed the girl. Who goes along with somebody to kill somebody? When they say to you, come over to my house. We're going to do something. You should say, you know what? I think you should. You go ahead. I don't want to be a part of that. You want to have your own mind. And this is the thing I told my son. I said, I want you to have your own mind. So when you're faced with maybe peer pressure situations, you can handle it because you can make your own decision and not feel like you have to go along with someone else because they'll call you corny or they'll call you this. Having your own mind. We want our men, our young men, to grow up to be men. Hi, Chaz. How you doing? This is some great articles. You matter. You make a difference. It's called The Call. Inspirational stories that are a must. Hi, Kathy. How you doing? I mean, just so many wonderful chapters. In your chapters, you own up and you talk about your mistakes.
Yeah, I was able to talk about, for me, one of the things I learned early on is that my parents are from Jamaica, and I got into the situation early on in elementary school. And for some reason, I left that situation thinking I need to do everything on my own, that I can't really ask people for help. And I went through high school, even college, and after college thinking I need to solve every problem by myself. And that was a mistake because there were so many times where I could have learned something if I just asked for help. And I think a lot of men get stuck in that, where we don't ask for help, especially young men, when we get to the place where we think we know it all, when we think we can solve all those issues, when we just need to ask for help, whether it's a brother or a cousin or a mentor, somebody. And so I talk about those mistakes, and I also give some tips and some ways that you can overcome that. And because the title of my chapter is called There is Hope.
There is hope.
And I learned in my own life there is hope. Even to be here right now, being able to have this opportunity is because of that. I learned how to make connections, how to trust people, how to connect with people, and it's opened up so much more for me in my life. And that's really what I want to inspire people in my chapters, that there is hope, that you can do and be whatever you want to be, but you need to really get the help from others.
Bethany Baptist Church. Can I just tell you how we met? We met at Bethany Baptist Church, Bishop Evans, and I was invited to speak there. And there was this room. We met over crab legs, and I found out that he was my neighbor. And then I know. I love crab legs. So always meeting people over food. I found out he was my neighbor. His wife and their kids, they live in my neighborhood. So then we just got the one-on-one. He said he was a psychologist, and he became a regular contributor to our Sunday show where you give advice and you talk, because it's all about helping people. At the end of the day, you got to reach out because there's someone that needs to hear the message. They need to know that there is hope. So you just make connections, and I'm so glad we did. His wife, Candace, turned 40 yesterday.
And she did. Happy birthday. Actually, today.
It's today. Candace, happy birthday. Had a nice celebration. He's got the book. You got so many wonderful things. I am so glad that we met. Everything happens for a reason, and God will put you in those unique places, and it's all about helping. This book is a must. You have a young man in your life, you know of a young man. It could be your son, it could be your grandson, your nephew, cousin. You know a young man. You read the book and pass the book on. It's called The Call. Dr. James, how do we get this book again?
Once again, you can go to my website, georgetalks.com, and click on the link, The Call, and you can order it, and you'll get it right away.
The Call. Thanks for joining us.